Learn how to lose weight while preventing a deadly disease at the same time. In America in the 1920s, fats in the diet consisted of lard from range-fed meat and raw butter. The obesity rate was 3%. Today, the obesity rate is over 60%. It is scientifically impossible for standard fat to make the human body fat. The low-fat, high-carbohydrate experiment, which began in the 1950s, resulted in an increase in the epidemic of weight gain and obesity to 20 times that of previous generations, and an increase in cancer of 17 times. Remember this health preamble. If what you eat will cause you to get fat, it will cause cancer. If it will cause cancer, it will cause diabetes. If it will cause diabetes, it will cause cardiovascular disease. What causes us to gain weight? There are three primary types of food: protein, fat, and carbohydrates. It is medically and scientifically impossible for protein and fat to make us fat, with the exception of adulterated fats, which are trans fats. The only food that can make us fat is carbohydrates, specifically the glycerol 3-phosphate in carbohydrates, which basically means that carbohydrates are a complex sugar. Carbohydrates and sugar make us fat through insulin. Each day, the amount of sugar from carbohydrates and simple sugars that we eat is 8 times what would normally kill us if we didn't have insulin to neutralize the sugar. Unfortunately, the insulin that is saving us is also making us fat. All you need to do to stop fat from being stored is to stop your body from constantly producing insulin. The only way to do this is to reduce your carbohydrate and sugar consumption. This is also one of the primary steps to take to help prevent you from having to deal with diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cancer. So what causes cancer? There are over 50 trillion cells in the human body, with hundreds of mitochondria in each cell. When we consume things like bread, cereal, soda, cookies, margarine, basically anything with carbohydrates, sugar, and/or unsaturated fats, we deplete oxygen out of our cells. When 35% of the oxygen has been crowded out of the cell, it is cancerous, but can't be detected for another 8 years since there is no diagnostic equipment that is sophisticated enough yet, which allows the cancerous cells to continue to grow and spread. It is scientifically impossible for a fully oxygenated cell to become cancerous. In fact, to create cancer cells in lab experiments, technicians take healthy cells and withhold oxygen from them overnight. The next morning, the cells are cancerous. Dr. Otto Warburg, a Nobel Prize-winning medical doctor and physiologist, proved the necessity of oxygenation for the prevention of cancer, and how the correct combination of essential fatty acids assists with this. Oxygen for the body begins in the lungs. Oxygen is transported throughout the body in the blood through hemoglobin. This transport is facilitated by ascorbate, citric acid, and EGCG catechins. Once the oxygen gets into the cell, the tricky part of getting it into the mitochondria, or the engines, of the cell begins. Remember that there are hundreds of these engines in each cell, and they need oxygen to convert nutrients into energy. 1 part correct essential omega-3 fatty acids transfers oxygen through the cell wall to get into the cell. Then, 1 to 3 parts correct essential omega-6 fatty acids allows the transfer of oxygen into the engines, or mitochondria, of the cell. Too much omega-3 can cause problems with estrogen, fibrin, and infarction, which is a heart attack. As a side note, fish oil, like cod liver oil, is promoted by many for its omega-6s. However, many fish oil products contain certain types of vitamin A, which is retinol, that can neutralize the effects of vitamin D3 and weaken the immune system. What do you do next? Greatly reduce the amount of carbohydrates, sugars, and unsaturated fats that you consume. Add the correct essential oils to your body, which reduce the cravings for carbohydrates and sugar, and allows oxygen into the engines of the cells to prevent them from becoming cancerous. When you add the EGCG catechins from green tea extract and citric acid from the Krebs cycle, you add elements that assist with the hemoglobin process, which is the transfer of the oxygen from the lungs to the cells through the blood, which allows the essential fatty acids to do their job. Add a sufficient amount of vitamin D3, and your immune system strengthens and increases white warrior blood cells that assist with the detection and fighting of cancerous cells, as well as any other virus in the body. We hope you have enjoyed the information that we have discovered and provided for you, and we also hope you have learned from it. If you would like access to our Lean for Life kit, as well as other helpful videos, please visit www.askinsiderdoctors.com.